here, so it's not so delightful. Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning into The Divide. We are here in your ear having the conversations that you need to hear. You're listening to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on Rochester Free Radio 106.3 FM. Glad to have you guys here with me today. We got a lot of stuff to cover. We're going to hop through it real quick. And boy, howdy, has that weather outside been so super cold. It's even got my nose running inside. Excuse me as I blow my nose. If you guys are out there and online, please make sure that you hit the like, share, follow, and subscribe. And if you're listening to us on the radio, remember to tell all your friends and your families, tune in to The Divide, Mondays, 2:30 to 4 p.m. So let's jump right into it. Man, have you guys been paying attention to what's going on in Iran lately? A lot's been going on in Iran, and it seems like it's kind of undercovered, right? Because honestly, me as an American citizen, I could give less cares or give more cares, I suppose, about Iran. They're just not a topic that I'm interested in. I'm not really interested in any other foreign countries either. Because the only real country that matters is the United States of America. But Iran is over there. They're having a whole bunch of social upheaval right now because apparently there are foreign entities and foreign governments that are seeking to overthrow the Ayatollah and change the people that are in office over there to people who are more friendly to the United States and Israel. So that's a thing. I mean, maybe that'll be helpful. We'll see what happens. We've already pushed a whole bunch of different riots and stuff like that, encouraged different usurpations over there through different CIA and Mossad and a whole bunch of other different ways. And we'll see what happens. It looks like Iran is an egg that's starting to crack. Little by little, it's starting to show fresh fractures on the shell. And soon, hey, we'll see. We'll see what really happens. I'm very interested in finding out what's going to happen with Iran, because one of the big things that people don't talk about is it's one of the last really powerful, non-friendly entities in the world that just really doesn't do business with the West like that. Oh, excuse me. 1 second. All right. So Iran's one of the countries that doesn't really do a lot of business with the West. They don't really do a lot of negotiations with the West or anything like that. They're rather hostile to America, to the European Union, and to anybody else. But they are very, very favorable to China. And I think that if we really want to look at what's going on all across the world right now, we have to look at it at an aspect of how is China involved? Because China's the linchpin in all of this, you guys. China's the linchpin in everything. If you want to know what's going on in Venezuela, really, why we're really there, China. If you want to know why we're really messing around with Iran, China, and to a lesser extent, Israel. But China is really, really, really been eating our lunch as Americans for, I don't know, the last 40 years, you know? And Americans haven't been paying attention because, you know, we're big, we're Bo Getty, we're so tough and all of this and all of that. And now if you try to explain to people what China's been doing to slowly deteriorate the power of the United States of America, they won't even believe you. They'll tell you that you're crazy. And it's like, what? How have you been missing what's been on the news for years, you know? Or you have somebody say, oh, well, China's just treating us mean because of Trump. What? China has a 100-year plan to actively take over the world, like something that's out of a villain story in like a movie. Like, are we being serious and for real right now? China is the enemy of the American people and of our nation. That's why we see all of this destabilization tactics going on inside our own country. Who do you think is largely funding it? China is one of the large funders of all of the destabilization in our nation. All of these riots and communist, Marxist nonsense, who's funding that? A large portion of it is being funded by China. Now, they're not the only ones, right? I call it the shadow hand because that's who's really behind everything. And it's a loose collective of people that are not really associated with each other and groups that are not really associated with each other, but they all benefit from the destabilization of our nation. China, you got the government itself, right? Because the bureaucracy is something crazy. That's part of it. You've got other foreign interests. You've got rich billionaires who are trying to pull apart our nation, that they just want to see what more they can do to glean power for themselves. Like, these are real serious issues. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are pushing it. And then they're also funding these NGOs and other stuff like that. And we really need to have that conversation. Now, you also have the wealthy elite, right? Like the wealthy elite, what you would call the head of our society and stuff like that, that are also taking advantage of this. So you look at it and you say, oh, well, why is there all this destabilization? Because you got 5 giant groups of people that are way more powerful, minus the bureaucracy, which is its own entity itself. But it's filled with people. But you've got these groups that are all working to the same outcome, which is destabilization. They're not working together to benefit each other. There is some overlap in between there, but realistically, they're all benefiting from the deterioration of the structure of our nation, the deterioration of the social strata in our nation, because it benefits them. It benefits them. It benefits the Chinese. It benefits the people in power. It benefits the bureaucracy. It benefits all of these things. So when we see different things happen, we have to remember what Rahm Emanuel, go look him up, okay? What Rahm Emanuel, famous Democrat, said, and I'm paraphrasing him, he said, don't let any bad situation go without exploiting it, Like, don't let any bad situation go to waste, This is what the whole concept and the mentality is. So what we've seen a fabrication and a creation of these very serious circumstances to actually cause chaos and havoc in other countries. Look at Iran, right? Who do you think is pushing all of their people to revolt? Most of that is not organic. So when you look at it and you see what's happening over there, you have to ask and look what's happening over here in the US. Well, it kind of seems very similar. There's a great parallel right there together. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Can we have that conversation? I don't think that most people want to. Because many people are very limited in their focus and their scope of attentiveness. Please hit the like button and the share. Just even drop a comment that just says hey or hi or a smiley face. I see you out there. And if you want to be part of the conversation, comment something and I'll pop you up on the screen. So as we have these conversations about what's going on and what's being done, we need to take 2 seconds, and we'll come back to Iran, but take 2 seconds and look at what's happening in Minnesota, right? You got all of these crazy people. First of all, I want you to look at the demographic makeup of Minnesota, and I want you to understand that the majority of the people in Minnesota just want to live their daily lives. So they're not coming out to any tens of thousands of people protest in no negative 20-degree weather. Then people were bussed in. They had buses of people coming in to Minneapolis. Go look it up. Go watch the videos and stuff like that. They had people out there encouraging riotous behavior. Some dude that they chased down that had burnt the American flag and then ran off. Like, you just burn an American flag and run off like he didn't want to be part of the protest. He was just acting up. And see, these are these outside instigators. And people don't even recognize what's going on. It's very, very, very important. Hey, thank you for watching and tuning in. And please make sure you subscribe. So these people out here that are creating these situations of destabilization, it's very, very bad for our country, because most people don't think, and they don't say, oh, well, these people that are bad actors, maybe they're just bad actors. That's important, you guys. There are a lot of people out here that just want to cause disturbances, that just want to be anarchists because they don't care, because they think that it's fun to get people up and encourage them to violent action. But worse than that is there are many people out there that are getting paid to create these types of problems. They're getting paid. And this is important. And we need to talk about it, because if we don't have those conversations and we don't recognize that there are people that are out there that are manipulating our whole country, what are we even doing? What are we even doing? I had this guy, right, who lives not far from where we are doing this radio broadcast, posted in our neighborhood group. He was like, yeah, I'm putting out these pamphlets to promote resistance against the ICE and stuff like that. And I'm going to be putting whistles and stuff out there like that too with these pamphlets, and I'm going to put them into little libraries and stuff like that. Why are you doing that, dude? Who convinced you to do that? That's not organic. That's not something that you decided to do outside your brain just magically. Like, it's really, really, really something that we need to look at. And I told him, I said, listen, you have to understand that what's going on right now is being pushed. And my main point to him is, look, protesting is one thing, but encouraging this type of behavior that creates very noisy situations, very what you would call them as serious hyper situations, very antagonistic situations. When you start to do stuff that creates that type of an atmosphere, you're basically putting fire in the gunpowder room. Why are you doing that? Like, you already know it's going to be highly volatile to begin with. So why would you create this extra situation that makes more and more people want to take higher levels of aggressive action? That was my explanation, my question to him. And then he was like, oh, well, your complacency is a problem. My complacency? Who are you to talk about complacency? I've been standing up against government overreach for years, and I didn't see you anywhere when they were telling people in New York to turn in their family members for having more than 2 people at Thanksgiving. I didn't hear him say anything about them putting up roadblocks and checking people's vax passes with the National Guard in New York State during COVID. I didn't hear him say anything about stopping people from going inside places that are public spaces or going to get food or anything without showing their vax pass. Where was he on this? So where are these people that say that they're really against fascism, that they're really against authoritarianism? Where are these people been? Sleep, resting on their laurels? Like, are you serious? Like, right now in my city, okay, we've got the East End district, right? And they have it where you have to show your ID to get into a public neighborhood during the weekend. And the mayor did that unilaterally through this whole nonsensical gun violence, what does he call it? Gun violence proclamation, state of emergency. And none of these crazy people out here talking about, oh, we stand against fascism, we're anti-fascist, or we think the government is having overreach or anything like that. None of them said nothing. None of them said boo. So somebody make it make sense. We need to really pay attention to what's going on here. Why is nobody talking about this? But you want to go out there and you want to say, oh, well, all of this and all of that. What? Stop encouraging people to do stuff that is going to create a more hostile environment when we have people that already are on edge, right? Like, peaceful protesting is one thing. Getting in other people's faces is a whole nother problem. And I don't encourage that on any level, whether it's against the government, whether it's against opposing group of individuals or anything, because you know what it's hitting for. You get in people's face and you start yelling and screaming in people's face, you're asking for them to put hands on you. You're asking for it. So when hands get put on you, then you got a problem. You got to make that make sense to me. You got to really make it make sense. It's really, 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 I see you, Richie. Thank you for coming. It's really, really problematic, right? Like, we got all these people that are here that are running about, that are acting all crazy, that really, truly don't care about the stability of our nation. And this is something that needs to be talked about. We have to ask these people and engage them. What's going on? Why didn't anybody say anything? Earlier. It's so bad. And right now, everybody's like, okay, well, it's bad because of Trump. Is it? Is it bad because of Trump? Because what I see is people and states and cities not releasing, not turning over the people that ICE is asking for that are supposed to be detained. They're submitting detainer paperwork for them, and they're releasing them, or they're not letting ICE inside the facilities. Now, it's their job to get rid of these people that are not supposed to be in our country, or to hold them and adjudicate them by immigration court. But these states and these cities, especially the sanctuary cities and the sanctuary states, are preventing them from doing that. Why are they preventing them from doing that? And what is going to be the outcome? Well, clearly, if ICE now has to step up the ante since they can't just get them, like this isn't happening in Florida. They don't have a whole bunch of ICE agents swarming in Florida that are being interrupted from doing their jobs in Florida. We don't see this type of situation happening in Louisiana. Like, well, why? Why isn't it happening there? Well, because they're holding these criminal illegals, and they're taking them and they're handing them over to ICE as they're supposed to, as is required by federal law. But these states want to act like it's okay to circumvent federal law when it's convenient for them. But when it comes to you as a citizen, oh no, how dare you stand up and speak up against what's happening on the state or on the local level? Then you're the bad guy. Can you make that make sense? Like, there's clearly something else that is going on here that needs to be talked about. Today, my mayor and my city council and my county executive, okay, all came out talking about, oh, we stand in solidarity with Minnesota or whatever. Listen, you guys represent Rochester, New York, not Rochester, Minnesota. Make it make sense. Since the beginning of the year, we've had so many people murdered and so many people stabbed and shot that we know about. It's crazy ridiculous, which doesn't even go into talking about the overdoses. And we can't even talk about we got the worst school district in the nation in my city. Second worst, same difference. But we got the second worst school district in the nation, but we got the second most funding in the nation. Make that make sense. Where are they standing up against that? But you're standing up against people behaving badly, going against the federal government in Minnesota. When you're elected to represent us as citizens here, you're derelict in your duty. Full facts. Your job is us, okay, as citizens. Not even the foreigners and the illegals. Not even non-citizens. Like, that's the problem. These people that are supposed to represent us as elected officials are serving everybody, especially themselves and their own interests, but have forgotten about us. And people might say, oh, well, Marcus, you're kind of hard on the illegal immigration issue or whatever the case is. I am. And I'm not even going to mince words about it. Of course, I'm hard on the illegal immigration issue, because we got a whole bunch of these people that are taking away resources from our countrymen. Somebody told me the other day, they said, hey, Marcus, if they weren't here, we don't know that we'd get those allocated resources anyway. I said, well, let me put it to you like this. Right now in my school district and throughout our county, okay, they are giving school resources to these foreign children. Okay, I don't want them to give any resources to them. I want them to give them to our children. Now, these are pre-allocated funds that are supposed to go to our school districts that are supposed to be for the children of our citizens. But we've got illegal foreigners in there sucking it all up, draining it all out, as if the education system wasn't bad enough. Now you got 10 different languages that we've never had. And I'm not talking Spanish, right? We got 10 different languages in one classroom. The teacher can't teach because everybody speaks another language. And this is the whole nonsense that's going on. Well, we can't talk about that. How are they getting all these housing vouchers and stuff like that? I got homeless people freezing to death in my city right now, literally, not even fictionally. Okay? Freezing to death. because they can't get housing. There's a lot of people that are housing insecure in my city, but still somehow all of these programs out here are focused to illegal aliens and foreigners. How is that a possibility? Like, I take a real issue with the Catholic family charities, and I hope that they improve, and I pray that they get back to their roots, because to me, it seems like they help everybody except Christians. How is that even a thing? Like, you're supposed to be a Catholic charity. Like, why would you not be helping Christians? Why would you not be helping Catholics? How is that a thing? But it shows you that a lot of this is about emotional sensationalism as well as putting money in their pockets. The focus is going away from our citizens, and it no longer rests on us. If you guys want to be part of the conversation, hit the like button, hit the share, and definitely drop a comment, and I'll pop your comment up on the screen. Even if it's just a hi or a heart or a smiley face, drop it down in the comments. Now, as we have these important conversations, I want to go back to what's going on in Minnesota. Because these same tactics that are being used for destabilization there are also being used in everywhere else in the nation, specifically in very blue states with a lot of corruption, because we've seen a lot of corruption come out there and nobody really wants to seem to talk about it. But I mean, hey, right? So let's only talk about the important things. Let's talk about how we've got these people over there in Minnesota that have been stealing tens of billions of dollars that should be going to daycare or should be going to medical services or should be going to this or should be going to that. No, we can't talk about that. But they got the nerve to get up in press conferences with $20,000 rings and $3,000 pairs of glasses. What? Like, what is it? And they're like, oh, well, they're coming after us for all of this and all. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. And then over the weekend, I didn't even know that this was a Somali thing, you know, because they had this Somali girl, I don't know, looked like somebody bust her upside her head or whatever the case is. Maybe they drilled a hole in her head and she needed some brain acupuncture or something. But she had like a bandage on her head and she was in the press conference and she was like, Somalis are like, I don't know how to describe it, like bananas with rice, being Somali and being American. And it's like not really something that you think would go together, but it does go together. And I'm like, I don't know who decided to put you out there. That was a bad idea. Like, now all I can think about is Somalis being with rice and bananas. And like, I didn't even know that was a thing, because like, as far as I know, bananas aren't from that part of a region. Like, they're not from Somalia in Africa. I had to go research the fact that they even grew bananas there, which apparently the bananas got there from the Italians, which is a whole deeper conversation that we need to have. So, and that didn't happen till like the 1920s. So that's just like, so anyway, but I found that that was kind of humorous, you know, but it really showed a distinct issue. Like, these people are out here doing these things and they're trying to rehumanize the culture of theft that has been promoted in Minnesota. So while all of that is being uncovered, and the fact that they're funneling money to foreign countries and back in the pockets of other politicians over there, all of these disturbances are cropping up and popping up. And the real question you need to start asking yourself is, how are these people getting all of this information about ICE? Where they're supposedly doing raids, the things that are supposedly being leaked. How are they getting that information? Right? We need to start asking questions. And this is what I'm telling you. It's all a play against us as the American citizenry. And these buffoons are out here just going along with it and they don't even see. You think that just magically they're getting all this information? You think that the federal government is seeing that all of these leaks are coming out and they're not doing anything about it? Who's stupid? The only way for all of those leaks to be coming out on that level and on that scale are for them to be letting that happen. Somebody is letting that happen. And you have to ask yourself, why is it being let happen? And again, it goes back to the shadow hand. Like I said, it's all those different various groups using this to their own appointed ends. Drink water, stay hydrated. But these are the conversations we don't want to have, that people aren't having, that we desperately need to have right now. Why are all of these ICE informations getting leaked? We just think that it's noble people that are railing against the system that want to be part of the solution that are just getting all this information? Or is it a counterintelligence operation inside DHS? Please pay attention, people. Because if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And like I said, all of these people out here in the streets acting a raw riot, us not questioning why they're behaving this way or why they're being allowed to behave this way. We had the issue with Renee Good being shot, and then we got this other guy, Alex, somebody in some face, whatever his name is, that was shot. Now, why did he get shot? Because he was somewhere that he didn't have no business being, doing something that he didn't have no business doing. And I don't got no time for y'all having no arguments. Oh, well, he has the right to do it. I don't got no time. I'm a Black American man. And you telling me that, yes, he should be in the street fighting and tussling with the police while armed. Who is stupid? Who's the dingbat? You got to be an idiot to believe that that's something that you should be doing. You understand what I'm saying? But more than that, why are you armed at a protest like that? I'm not questioning his Second Amendment rights. I believe full and firmly in it. We're going to jump into that deeper in a second. But why are you armed at a protest or a rally like that? Why? Because it's your Second Amendment right? We got to start asking those questions, right? Like, why is that a thing? Well, we've got all of these people online saying that you need to put some holes in some of these officers and stuff like that. We got all of these people talking about, oh, we need to come out all armed and stuff like that because we need to fight against the federal troops and all of this and all of that. Like, what are we really doing? What are we really doing at all? Like, who's stupid? Like, you don't see that they're inciting and inflaming what's happening? And nobody's thinking about it because they hate Trump so much. They just put this on Trump as a reason to act completely out of sorts and behave in manners in which are not even remotely okay. And then the worst happens. And then we have to ask ourselves, is it the worst, or is it something that's been cultivated intentionally so that more destabilization can come? Because this looks like the exact same operations that we run when we're trying to topple a foreign government. Specifically going to what is happening in Iran right now. Like, this is the same type of behavior. Like, do we not see that this is operation, a PSYOP, and an actual intelligence operation that's being run against the American people, and people are just feeding into it so easily, so simply, because they want to hate Donald Trump and they want to fight the man and all of this and all of that. Nonsense. Complete buffoonery. What are we doing? Like, really, what are we doing? Like, this is nothing but a bunch of people that are being led around by the nose, okay, and being encouraged to create destabilization in our society. It's that simple. But people don't want to talk about that. Why is that happening? Where is it coming from? Who is paying for it? Who is promoting it? And you got all of these NGOs and stuff like that that are pushing all of this nonsense. And then it's like, oh, well, you know, that's not a problem. I don't know how any of those 50 501s are not in prison. Like, all of those people, that whole network, anybody affiliated with them, they need to be in prison for treason. Okay, they're promoting destabilization of our nation intentionally, which makes me wonder, are they in bed with the government too? So these are the questions that we really need to ask that people aren't trying to have the discussion about. What is really happening? What is really being done? And what aren't we seeing? Because clearly there's more to the story. Now, as you're watching, I want to thank you guys. You're tuned into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. If you're listening on the radio, you need to make sure that you tell your friends, your family, your enemies, everybody. Tune in Mondays, 2:30 to 4 p.m. on WRFZ 106.3 FM, Rochester Free Radio. If you're online, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, drop a comment in the comments. I'll try to pop most of them up on the screen. Sometimes they come in too fast, but I'll do my best to pop them up on the screen. All right. And be part of the conversation. So we really have to ask ourselves, what's going on right now? When did it start? Where did it come from? Well, let's go back a little ways. Let's go back to Martin Luther King. We just had Martin Luther King Day, right? Okay, let's talk about that. Martin Luther King made a mention about how the violent and hyperbolically destructive type of riots that were going on were bad, that they were not good, that they were not effective. And whenever that they happened, that the people that were supposed to be the ones that they were in favor of ended up losing. They ended up losing. They ended up losing territory. They ended up losing businesses. They ended up losing everything. This happened in my city. We had riots in my city around the same time, and we lost all of Cornhill, which was where we're broadcasting by. Okay, we lost all of Cornhill. It was all black neighborhood. Okay, and then they kicked everybody out after the riots. Then we had the BLM riots here in my city. Okay, they burnt down all the black businesses. They broke out all the businesses in the black neighborhoods and in the black communities. Like, but I thought it was supposed to be for Black lives and Black people mattering and stuff like that. Well, clearly it wasn't. And all of these things I'm telling you right now are being spurred on behind the scenes to create this situation in which people feel as though they are being empowered by being destructive. And you have to ask yourself why. If it's never been successful before, and it's always led to ruin and problems for the people that have so-called supposed to be the ones that it's helping, why is it still going on? Because it's a good tool of disempowerment. Now, it serves two issues, right? So one, it serves to destabilize, and two, it serves to create a bigger reason to have more policing. And that's what we need to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that what we're seeing, the behaviors we're seeing are going to be the justification for a larger federal policing presence. But also you have to connect that to the fact that why were the police defunded? Why were the police pushed out of doing policing? Why has it been created in a situation where the police have almost no ability to police? Why are the police being told that they shouldn't be doing anything to stop these crazy but bad behaving people in places like Minnesota? Make it make sense. So let's distill it down even further. Let's talk about who's really pushing for these things, right? Now, the people that did the BLM stuff is the same people that did the Ukraine stuff, the same people that did the pro-Palestine stuff, the same people that did all of this other nonsense. Like, it's the same tactics continued over and over again. You think that it's different. It's not. It's all being pushed by the same people. And this is what we have to wake up to as a nation. All of this stuff is connected. None of it happens in a vacuum. It's not just magically reactively happening. It's all intentional, and it's being pushed on the American people. And more people need to wake up. Because what even are we doing as a nation right now? We've got people that are in the streets that are protesting for illegal aliens that are criminals. They're protesting not to take the illegal aliens that are criminals. And I told you about the guy that put the post up, oh, he's putting out these whistles and stuff for people to get in my neighborhood or whatever the case is. And I'm like, you don't see that this is a problem. And that's the real big problem. These people out here that are doing all of this nonsense, that are creating all of this destability, don't see the end result. And they don't care that these criminals are violent criminals that have been re-released from prison. And then they're like, oh, well, they're just snatching up other people and stuff like that, too. Well, one, most of the people that are getting arrested by ICE are people that are interfering with them, that are throwing bottles at them, that are stopping them from actually arresting these criminals. And then people are like, oh, well, they're arresting American citizens. Well, American citizens need to not be in their pathway. Like, we need to talk about that. We need to have that conversation. But nobody wants to. But we need to have that conversation. Why are you championing for all of these criminals? Let's be very clear. Like, if they honored the detainers from ICE, like we mentioned earlier, we wouldn't have that many ICE people out there. But the better question is, why would they just not let them do their job? Because they've been encouraged to do this and say, oh, well, it's good. It's not good. It's bad. But more than that, who's stupid? Like, why are you out there? Like, what are you doing? We're raving against the machine for illegal aliens. Stop being stupid. Like, for real. Like, let's look at it honestly. If we have all these different issues going on internally in our country, we have a very serious issue with our economy. Our economy might be improving, but the drastic serious issue is that the value of the dollar is not there. We also have a rapidly shifting economy, which is moving towards mechanization and automation with AI, and we're not addressing those issues because we got our people out here protesting freaking illegal aliens being removed. Why is that? Where is the priorities? Like, you're not prioritizing the real issues. We got the federal government is trying to put kill switches in all of our cars, in all of our vehicles. Where are the protests against that? So the government could just shut down your car at any given time. Hello? Is this thing on? Let me tap the microphone just to make sure. You know, like the federal government is putting shut off kill switches in your cars, and we're supposed to just be, okay, yeah, let me stop the illegal aliens. Let me help the illegal aliens. Who's stupid? Like, y'all not prioritizing the right things. Pay attention. And let me be very, very clear. Almost every single Democrat voted in favor of those kill switches in the cars. As a matter of fact, this was put into the bill underneath Biden when Biden was in office, and now they're trying to get it repealed. However, a whole bunch of Democrats voted for it again to keep it, and some Republicans voted for it too. So you out here talking about, oh, well, these illegal aliens, and in the meantime, we're being set up for failure. Like, are you serious? But can we have that conversation? No, we can't have that conversation because nobody wants to. Nobody wants to because it's too much like right. And if we talk about right and legitimate things, then people are like, oh, it's not true. It's not real. This, that, and the third, da, 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 da. It's really, really, really a problem. Now, why aren't people standing up to this, to stopping the kill switch in the cars? Why is nobody doing that? The president said, hey, you know, I want to stop the credit card interest for a year and knock it down to 10% for a year. But Ocasio-Cortez and Ana Paula Luna put a bill on the floor of the House of Representatives saying that they want to cap credit card rates at 10% period. And this was something that they did last year. And that's never been taken up. Why is that? We need to really ask these questions and analyze what's going on. Trump came out and said we should tax people that are rich even more. None of the Democrats, not a Elizabeth Warren, not a Bernie Sanders, not an AOC, none of them supported that initiative that he was trying to push. So all of these things that they try to use to say, oh, well, Trump bad, Trump bad. When Trump supports the things that these people claim that they want and the claim that they support, they're nowhere to be found. Is the orange man really that bad that he supports what you want, and now that he's supporting it and actually trying to push for legislation on it, you're not going to stand up for that legislation? Listen to how these people sound. So clearly you got to understand that their agenda is not to serve you. It's to divide our nation more. It's to create more problems because it keeps them in power and it causes them to be needed. Drink water, stay hydrated. But people don't want to talk about that. Drop a comment, hit the like button, share this, and help get it out there. As we go through these conversations about important things that are going on across our nation, we really need to pay attention to what's going on in Congress. Because a lot of things that have been done, they've been trying to repeal since the Republicans got into the White House. And it's very important that a lot of this stuff does get repealed. But people in the communities and stuff like that, they don't see what's happening. They don't see what's been done. They're distracted by small, minuscule things like this nonsense with these illegal aliens. They haven't even deported that many people. So when they're like, oh, well, terrorizing these people. Who are they terrorizing? Y'all are the ones sensationalizing everything. I'm not scared. I'm not concerned. Why are you scared? Why are you concerned? Oh, you're projecting. You're saying that other people are scared and concerned. Who? These lily white people? Stop it. Don't play in my face. These lily white people that are not getting deported, that are American citizens, are the ones out here causing chaos and commotion. Make it make sense. It's crazy. Then we see these foreigners and stuff like that trying to masquerade as Black Americans being involved in this nonsense. And Black Americans don't want nothing to do with it. That's why they trotted out this Puerto Rican dude, okay, talking about he's a new Black Panthers and we need to help fight for all of the foreigners and stuff like that. That's not what the Black Panthers were about. Like, who's stupid? And then white people just ran with it on both sides. White liberals ran with it, talking about, oh, look, the Black people are standing with us. The dude ain't even Black. You look at the people in his echelon, he's got like 2 Black people. Everybody else is not Black. And I don't even know if they're actually Black. You know, he's being sued by the daughter, by the niece of Huey Newton, okay, with cease and desist right now because of that nonsense. Then we got the NAACP today talking about, oh, we need all of the people to unite for all of these foreigners and stuff like that. Excuse me? You're supposed to be the national organization for the advancement of colored people. Colored people. That's us. That's the copper-colored Americans. And you out here talking about some foreigners. These organizations have lost their way so bad. And this is why Black people ain't out here dealing with this nonsense. And every now and then I see some Black people online talking about, we look at the government and this and that. Shut up. I'm not trying to hear none of that. I'm not really trying to have any level of discourse with you if you're out here standing up for foreigners. Okay, specifically the illegal aliens and the people who are in this country illegitimately, or the people who are out here flying foreign flags like the Mexican flag and the Palestinian flag, talking about they want to topple our nation for foreign interests. This is really, really, really serious, and nobody wants to talk about it. Why are we not talking about it? Somebody says they're using their power to stop an impartial investigation into the killing of U.S. citizens exercising their rights. I have no clue what you're talking about. I have no clue what you're talking about. Impartial investigations? When have we ever had impartial investigations in the United States of America? When has that ever been a thing? Don't play in my face. Don't take a piss and tell me it's raining. There's never been any impartial investigations into anything, ever, in our country, because that's not how people operate. People are not impartial. So that's another situation. You're like, oh, they're just expressing their rights. They're just expressing their rights. What rights? What rights? To act a rabid fool? To go outside and misbehave? This isn't peaceful protesting that they're doing. It's riotous behavior. It's riotous behavior. And you're saying, oh, well, they got shot for no reason. They didn't get shot for no reason. They got shot because they were in a place that they had no reason being in, doing something that they had no business doing. Like trying to run people over or going out to a so-called peaceful protest armed, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, and that, I want to get into that. So thank you for bringing that up. Let's get into this guy, Alex, whatever his face is, right? Which I got lots of questions that I can't even say on air because I got some other thoughts behind the scenes on the situation. But let's talk about him and the fact that he was armed. And now all of a sudden, between the last couple of weeks, all of these Democrats and leftists, now you support the Second Amendment. Don't play in my face. Okay, don't play in my face, because I didn't see you supporting the Second Amendment when my governor said, oh, she's going to make it more difficult for us to own firearms and this and that. Y'all don't support the Second Amendment. You just want to use it as an excuse to try to push your ridiculous agenda in this specific instance. And that's a serious problem, because when I say that I support something or I stand for something, I don't ever back down from it. I'm that way 100%. You're right as much as it is mine. But the problem is that you're trying to say, oh, well, we should do this and this should be this so that we can do what we want to. That's the problem. So that you can do what you want to. And what you want to is impact the lives of other people. And that's a problem. That's a serious problem. You want to start a civil war. And I'm not for it. I'm not for a civil war because you're fighting for nobody and nothing. You're fighting to destroy our country for foreigners. Like, that's retarded. Like, stop. Like, don't be an idiot. Like, here's the deal. We've got elected officials getting up there saying that you need to engage them on a heavier level. You need to go out there armed and stuff like that. You need to get on the internet, all these people telling you that you should put holes in ice and stuff like that. What are we doing? What are we doing as a nation? Like, that is even something that's okay to say out loud. And then you wonder why these people are behaving in the ways in which they are behaving. Like, it's very straightforward. And like I said, if we look at what's happening in Minnesota with these different riots and the upheaval and stuff that they're pushing, and the fact that all of these people got bussed in, come on now, tons of yellow school buses bussing in all of these thousands of people into Minnesota to protest, not even from there. Like, you guys don't even see that you're having the wool pulled over your eye. Like, you just want to so desperately feel like you're a part of something in the zeitgeist, in the spirit of the times. You'd be willing to chop your own neck off just to feel good about yourself in the end. It's ridiculous. It's exactly like what's the cult where they all killed themselves to go behind Halley's Comet? That one. Okay. Like, are you serious? Like, that's how committed you are to these nonsensical things? But people are. People are. Now, I want to go back to the Iran situation and go into some other topics also. But before that, this Second Amendment issue with all of these so-called Democrats and so-called leftists supporting the Second Amendment is very problematic because they don't support the Second Amendment. They've done everything that they can to strip our rights and liberties and freedoms away in regards to the Second Amendment. And now all of a sudden they're creating these situations where these people are going out there running around armed, doing stuff that they don't have any business doing, getting involved in situations that they shouldn't be involved with. And what's that going to lead to ultimately? Further gun restrictions, further Second Amendment restrictions. And you idiots are out there running around thinking that it's okay and everything's great, and you don't even see the damage that you're doing and what's going to come. It's a very, very, very serious issue. It's a very serious issue. And now we got people on the right talking about, oh, the guns and this, that, and the third. I'm not even trying to hear nothing that they're saying. Because anything that they're trying to talk about to limit the Second Amendment, I don't care whether it's right, left, indifferent, company, private organization, or anything, absolutely not. That's what we're not doing. Okay? And it's gone too far already. And these crazy kooks are out here pushing it more and more and more. And it's a serious, serious, serious problem. And nobody wants to talk about it because everybody's so self-righteous, you know? And I don't want to seem like I'm impartial because I'm not. I'm not impartial at all. I stand by the Constitution. If it's not in the Constitution, I'm not with it. As a matter of fact, I think the government is too big. And I say it all the time. I want a government so small that it fits in the palm of my hand and I can crush it if I feel like it. For years, I've been saying that the tea is spoiled and it needs to be tipped over. But the fact of the matter is these people are out here talking about overthrowing our country, our nation, and our rights and our freedoms for foreign interests and illegal aliens. Miss me with that nonsense. You're trying to destroy my country and promote globalism. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about globalism. It's about making our country diverse and inclusive. I don't want our country to be diverse and inclusive. This is a serious problem. I want my country to be filled with people that love our nation, support our nation, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and sing the national anthem. If you're not down for that, you shouldn't be here. Full stop. This is serious. We got people in the comments saying, oh, I'm paid and stuff like that. I wish. Who's paying me? Because if somebody's paying me, I'm missing some checks. Please tell me who's paying me, because I'd like to know, because I got to go collect some debts then. Stupid idiots online. But this is what it is. Whenever they hear somebody that says something that they feel like they don't agree with, they want to attempt to discredit you as an individual, not the point that you're making. So this is the problem. Also, they don't listen. They don't listen because they don't really care. They just want to be self-righteous. And that's where we are in our nation right now, where everybody is so self-righteous, nobody can ever be wrong. Everybody on the right is so right. Everybody on the left is so right. Everybody in the middle is so right. You know, I had a libertarian, alleged libertarian. Okay, I love you, dude, but still. Alleged libertarian say something real crazy out the side of his neck to me the other day. And I was like, that don't sound libertarian at all. Like, what? Like, what are you, again, this whole concept of self-righteousness and everybody's so right that everybody else is wrong. It's a problem because there's no open discourse, so we can't have the important conversations. Like, this is a serious issue that's going to march us directly towards further government encroachment on our rights, our liberties, and our freedoms. But we can't have that conversation because you try to bring this up to these people that support this nonsense, and they're like, oh, well, we're fighting against the government. We're going to stand against. To what end? To what end? What is the end result that you are expecting? That the government is going to stand down and not do anything? That you're going to overthrow our government and turn it into a utopia when we've got more enemies than the alphabet has letters? Like, are you serious? Like, what is your end goal? What is the end result that you see forthcoming? So disgusting, makes me want to spit. And this is important. Hit the like button, drop a comment. I'll try to pop your comments up, be part of the conversation. But as we talk about this very important issue, we need to look at what's happening. We are on very good footing to have a great resurgence of America power internationally, but also economically. The problem is the way things are set up right now. If our citizens don't see what's happening economically, we're not going to be able to take advantage of what's coming. I was watching the Davos, the World Economic Forum, and we've got people like the head of NVIDIA there. We got people that the head of JP Morgan Chase there, and Jason Wong, Jamie Dimon. We got them there. We got Howard Lutnick. We got what's Bassett's first name? I don't remember Bassett's first name, but we got Bassett there. We got all of these people talking about how great things are going and how AI is going to change and completely disrupt our economy and everything like that. We got these people over there talking about we need to push for digital currency now. And what's going to happen when the digital currency gets pushed out there is it's going to collapse the values of regular currency and it's going to cause massive issues. This is what they're saying out loud, unrecorded statements that you can find online. So I need you to understand that this is a largely private event. So if they're telling you this stuff in public, what are they saying behind the lines? We got to wake up. We're in for a massive shift of what's happening economically in our nation. You know, the World Economic Forum are the same people that said that they want you to own nothing and be happy. They're the same people that said that you should eat the bugs. They're the same people that are pushing this agenda that we don't have meat anymore, that they have fabricated meat and fake meat and all of this stuff, and they're working to buy up all of the farms around the country and in Europe so that they can make it so that people can't have meat to eat, and meat is only a luxury item for the most wealthiest of people, which is them. And here we are as the people so distracted by illegal aliens that we can't even see what's being done. It's such a serious issue. It's such a serious problem. Jamie Dimon said, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Now, this is the money man. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. It's coming and you can't stop it. So you better get ready. And I'm like, that is the scariest thing that I've ever heard. Because that's the money man. You know, We got Howard Lutnick up there talking about how good the economy is going and stuff like that. And it is going good. It is. It is. But proportionally to what's happening with the value of the dollar and our buying and spending power inside the US, not internationally. I don't care about internationally, right? I don't summer in Java. I don't have a second home in Tahiti or the Canary Islands. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't, those international prices and stuff like that doesn't affect you or me or most anybody watching this video. That doesn't help us. But our buying power in New York is going down and down and down and down. So I'll give you, for instance, here's a candy, a peppermint, right? Like, this peppermint is like 5 cents or whatever, right? It's a quarter. It's a quarter. Like, how is this peppermint a quarter? Like, one peppermint is a quarter? Like, this is the conversation that we need to have. I was watching this guy the other day, and he was talking about how much silver can you buy for a spot price of $100. And he pulled out the different coins that we've had throughout our history as a nation. And he pulled out like a silver dollar, a couple of silver dimes, and I think it was a nickel that was silver also. Like, it came up to $1.35 worth of American government issued currency that is now valued at $100. If that doesn't tell you about the direction of the actual value of our money in society, you got to wake up and see what's happening. Because all of this illegal alien foreigner nonsense, we got to fight the machine, is a distraction to keep the people in power, to empower more of the people to push for globalism, because, you know, we got to be global friends and everything like that. You don't get it. You don't get it. Like I said, it's the shadow hand moving around, basically usurping all of our individual power as us as individual sovereigns. That's the problem. That's what we have to wake up to. I encourage you, hit the like button, hit the share button, get this message out there. If you want to support the show, you can go to Patreon and go to Rochester Free Radio, WRFZ on Patreon. Donate to the station and just put in the comments the divide. And you can also, if you're online, you can help us by right there on the sides. It shows you how to support. And if you're watching vertical, you can see down there how to support. So it's important that we have these conversations, but more so, it's important that we connect the dots. Why is this happening? Why are things happening? What's going on? How does this affect other things? And we don't have full comprehensive conversations about how what's happening in, I guess, let's say, for instance, South Korea is impacting us over here in the US. South Korea is lost to the Chinese. We've lost South Korea to the Chinese. So much so to the point in which Trump is like, we might want to have to do stuff with North Korea. Because North Korea is like, we don't want the Chinese. We deal with them because nobody else deals with them, but we're very concerned that they'll try to take over our country at some point, which they will. If you know the history there's some strong history. If they take over Taiwan, they're going for for North Korea too. They already own South Korea. But we can't talk about that. Trump's like, we need to pull some people out of South Korea and reorganize how we're doing stuff. We need to pull some people out of the European Union and reorganize how we're doing stuff. I agree with all of those moves because we can't control everything everywhere. We don't have enough people. We just don't have the infrastructure, and we can't be the world's police. But more than that, we can't be the world's security force either. Why is that? Because we're stretched too thin. We've got too many enemies, and we can't protect all the territory at one time. So now we're recalling people, slowly building down, and we're focused on reorienting everything in the Western Hemisphere as what we have as far as our scope of control. Because we can't defend, let's be honest, Taiwan is attacked tomorrow. We can't do anything about that. We can't. We can try. It'd take us a week to get some ships there and stuff like that. I mean, we got some people in South Korea, but that's immediately taken out. If I was China, I was going into Taiwan and I've got all of these people in favor of us in South Korea. I just do some sort of an EMP tactic or whatever to disable and cause problems for the American military there. I'd also start all types of riots and stuff there against the American presence. So, I mean, it's very easy on a low level to see how they could disrupt anything going on over there. The only other big ally we have over there is Japan. Japan can barely defend themselves in their own islands. So Japan needs to build up. I'm glad that they're moving away from the self-defense type of situation and moving more into an active war posture. You know, that's good for them. They need it. I don't know. Again, they don't have enough people. That's a whole nother conversation. The aging population is really bad over there. But these are the conversations we need to have. Can we defend Taiwan? Absolutely not. That's why we gave them a whole bunch of weapons and stuff like that. I don't think that that's good enough. I believe that majority of China's attack will be from the inside out. Okay? Very clearly, it'll be from the inside out. They're already eroding the political system and embedding it with their own agents inside the political system and in different offices and stuff like that are favorable to them. So by the time it happens, they'll try to use it to draw near with closer cooperation with China. And then China will just land boats on the shores and stuff like that. And they'll be like, oh, we're just coming over to be friends. And all of the people that are in the government in Taiwan will be like, okay. Now, of course, there will be some resistance, but not that much. And that's where the real conflict is going to be. It's going to be an internal civil war in Taiwan. And then China's going to come in and clean up the pieces. Like, it's very clean and set forth. We got to pay attention to what's going on the world scale. So because of that, the president has been like, we're going to pull back. We're going to focus on defending what we can, which is the Western Hemisphere. We're going to kick China out of the Western Hemisphere as much as possible. That's why you see what's going on in Venezuela. That's why you see what's going on in Central and South America. That's why you see what's going on in the Caribbean. But we got to put all of these things together. So if you look at Venezuela, Venezuela has a lot of oil, right? And people are like, we went there for the oil. Yes and no. And also, yes, but also no again. We went there largely to stop China from getting their oil. That's what we need to have the conversation about. China got a lot of oil from them, but we can't have that conversation. This is why we need to connect all of these dots together. So now China is short on oil from them. Now we're going after Iran. Come on now. I need you to think clearly. Who else does China get a lot of oil from? Iran. Now, there's been some issues with China getting oil from Russia lately, and China's called short on their contract with Russia for oil. So there's something going on there as Russia kind of draws near towards the U.S. and more partnership with the U.S., which I've always thought would be a good thing, because since they dropped the whole socialist nonsense, they've really been trying to come around. But the West has always been trying to use them as a big enemy because because Europe wants to carve up their territory. Like, that's been the issue with Russia forever. Everybody always tries to carve up Russia, right? It never works. Everybody always try to go in there, never seems to go anywhere, never seems to be able to hold it. So with Russia working more closely, and they say that there might have even been consideration of conversations before what happened in Venezuela happened, because apparently the S-300 batteries weren't connected to the radar systems or something. I don't know. And Russian diplomats and families and stuff were taken out of the of Venezuela proceeding to that. I don't know. Because all I do know for sure 100% is that Trump was like, listen, I'm about to go in there. We're shutting down the air zone there. If y'all want to leave, you better leave. I would have taken the message the first time, you know? So if Russia did that and that's what happened, then that's what happened. If they were somehow lightly collaborating with the U.S., I don't know. But it's worth having a conversation about, and we're not. And this is why we need to have these important conversations, so that we can put more of a holistic picture together of what's actually being done and what's actually happening. Let's go back to what's going on in Iran, right? If Iran has all of this oil, one of their major buyers is China. Who does it help if we cut off the oil supply to China? Helps us. helps a lot of other people too, but helps us. And I want to stick it to China as much as we can on any given platform because they want to take over the world and they want to erase our nation. So I can care less about China. Okay, I have some real reserved thoughts on China in and of itself and what we should do. But I think that this is a good direction to go into. We're trying to slowly starve them off of what they need for growth and development on a higher scale. Now, will that really hurt China? Not that much. Not that much, but enough to give it a wound that will allow us to prepare adequate defense in the Western Hemisphere and start to supplant them in these countries that they've already really put their roots down into. Like, look at Jamaica. Ask a Jamaican about the Chinese in Jamaica if you want to talk about something. Ask about that. So I'm interested to see what happens with Cuba right now, since Cuba won't be getting any of Venezuela's oil. And now they're taking the dollar as a currency exchange. If you know anything about Cuba, you know that's crazy. So we might be very close to seeing the toppling of the communist regime in Cuba. So that'll be nice and that'll be interesting. If it's up to me, we take Cuba back because we should have never let Cuba go in the first place. Cuba used to be a territory of the United States of America, if you don't know that. I think that it should be another territory again, or maybe even be a state. I'd say probably a territory because I don't really want all those Maoist people there. It's going to take some time to reculture them. But I think a lot of the people there are really clamoring for something different. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But again, this is the conversation that we can't have. I'd love to send a lot of the Cubans over back to Cuba and have them rebuild Cuba. It'll be a great little forward base for us as far as being a protective portion for our nation and for our hemisphere. That's why Russia has bases there. That's why China's got some stuff there. But we can't have these conversations. Again, we have to look at this from a holistic angle, right? I know the left likes to use that word a lot, but it's true in this case, right? We have to look at it all the different pieces together. If you guys want to be part of the conversation, drop a comment, hit the thumbs up. Even if you just comment in the comments, smiley face or a hi, I'm listening, I'm watching, do that. All of that helps. And definitely hit the share button. So now, as we talk about what's happening, this is where Greenland comes into play. We're working on putting up the Golden Dome. Please go look that up. The Golden Dome, which is essentially a missile defense system. Okay. And that's going to be very, very cool. Okay. Because it'll protect us allegedly from pretty much any missiles, hyper missiles, ballistic missiles, and those hypersonic missiles go really crazy fast. So that's something that we really need defenses for, which we don't really have a lot of defenses for now. But thankfully, a lot of these other foreign powers are still using traditional ICBMs and stuff like that. And we can knock most of those out of the sky pretty good. But there are other threats and stuff like that. That's why China is trying to get more and closer in bed with Canada. Now, that's been happening for a while, but now it's really stepping up a bit. And Mark Carney has been trying to take a poo. He's the Prime Minister of Canada right now. He also used to work for the Bank of International Settlements. If you want to find out about some evil, go look at the Bank of International Settlements. They're way worse than the IMF. So when we have this conversation and Mark Carney's trying to move more towards China as an ally and bring in the Chinese cars and lower the tariffs on the Chinese cars and stuff like that, but you make a lot of Canadian and American cars in Canada. Like, that's a big manufacturing thing for Ontario and other provinces. Why would you do that? Why would you make that make sense? And then he said some foul stuff about Trump, and Trump came out and he was like, listen, I don't know why he's saying all of those things. You know, I don't know why he's saying and this is at Davos. He's like, I don't know why he's saying all of those things. He's like, we should be good friends. I don't know why he's like that. He didn't always used to be like that. See, but this is the song and the dance that we're doing on the international stage right now. And we're not having any real conversations about what's going on. And because we're not having those conversations, we're only getting part of the picture. So them lowering tariffs on Chinese-made vehicles is problematic. And I'm very concerned about those cars coming into the US and spying on US. Like, that stuff is really serious. And we got a lot of stuff that is going on right now that people just write off as it's not an issue, that really, really is an issue. And they say, oh, well, it's not an issue because they don't know, or they can't conceive that it's an issue. But you have to look at the fact that China's been buying up a lot of land by all our bases inside the United States. Make it make sense. So to say that they wouldn't be spying on us any way possible is kind of crazy, kind of limited in the thought process. But we need to have that very serious discussion. And we know that China has been doing drills with the Canadian Army in Canada. We know that they've had a build out of their network for their phones with Huawei and stuff like that. And this has also been an issue. A couple years ago, they arrested like the vice president, the daughter of the chairman of Huawei in Canada. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into that even more if we were to dig deep down into it. So China feels like it can get its claws deep into Canada. And that's one of the reasons why Trump is like, we need to make Canada the 51st state. You know, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Except Quebec. You can kind of drop that in the ocean. You know, and Ontario's leaders are kind of trash. Quite a bit of them are terrible. But Ontario as a province isn't as bad as Quebec. But this is serious. This is very serious. And right now in Alberta and Canada, they're trying to secede from Canada and join the US. And that's a real thing. Go look into it. Thousands of people have signed a petition. Tens of thousands of people have signed up on the petition to separate from Canada, and they're trying to get a vote on it. So that would be amazing. And I hope with Alberta comes Saskatchewan and British Columbia too, because the types of things that the Canadian government has been doing to Canada, specifically Alberta and the Saskatchewan and British Columbia region, like, it's terrible. They take all of their money, they redistribute it through other states and provinces rather, and they don't really get any return from the government. It's terrible. So I see why they want to secede, especially with all of the Marxism and nonsense that they're pushing. Like, it's bad in Canada. Like, people don't see it because we don't talk about it, and we think everything is so great here, so bad here that it's greater everywhere else. It's crazy. People don't understand what's going on. I had a friend from Canada that was talking to me the other day. They had to go to the hospital, and they had to go to the emergency. They said the emergency room here is so much better than it is in Canada because you be waiting for your life, you be dead. And now if you live in America and you live in places like New York or wherever, you might know that there are long waits as far as it goes when it comes to the emergency room. So them saying that it's way worse in Canada is kind of perplexing to me, because I'm like, it's pretty bad here. But it shows you that when you socialize medicine, when you push all of this stuff, it creates even more severe issues. And they were explaining to me that a lot of the real wealthy people can pay for better medical, and they do it. And sometimes they even leave the country to get medical services because of that. I said, that's crazy. And that's something that we need to have a conversation about. But, you know, America bad, I guess, you know, crazy nonsense. It's really interesting how we are perceived as a nation by other countries and how we're perceived by the left internally in our country. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy, and it's very problematic. And as we look at what's going on with Canada, I really hope Alberta does secede and join the U.S. That'll be fantastic. Plus, I really want to clear up that corridor between the U.S. continental and Alaska. We need to be connected. So that'll be very helpful to that. And I'm all for making Canada a whole new territory of the United States and incorporating that. Why? Because I want to get some get back from 1812. Okay? If you don't know about the War of 1812, I'm sour about that still. Okay? But also, more than that, for our national defense and for the Golden Dome architecture, we need that. We need that, okay? Because they clearly don't care. They don't care about the Northwest Territories. Like, are we serious? They don't care. They don't give them any service. Like, we need them for forward bases against what's coming from China. China is a very serious issue. And we also do need to guard from Russia, too. Russia to a lesser extent, but China to a huge extent. That's why we need Canada. And Mexico, China's all the way up and down and through Mexico. And Mexico is a terrorist country anyway. The government, not necessarily the people. Look at them, all pushed by the cartel, all pushed by China, all of the nonsense that's going on there. And then they interfere in everybody else's politics. And then people are like, the U.S. is a big bully. You know that Mexico interferes with everybody else's politics in Central and South America? Stop playing. Like, you don't know that. Why don't you know that? You need to ask the question on why don't you know that? Like, these are the things that you have to really dig into that people don't talk about. But it's well and important to talk about these things. So as we talk about what's going on with China and how the U.S. is working diligently to push them out of the Western Hemisphere, we need to see the recollaboration and the recalibration of what's going on a world scale. You might have seen maps online where it's like the U.S. and then Russia and then China, and it's like got the world carved up for each positioning. And really, that's the direction that we're going, you know? That's the direction that we're going. Spheres of influence where we can be impactful and what we can do. And the US, it's not Europe for us, bro. It's not Europe. The European Union is trash, super trash. We can't even talk about that the way that we need to. Like, they can't do anything for us. What does the European Union do for us? Like, let's be honest. They can't do anything really militarily. They lost all of the wars that they fought in collectively. Like, so what are we doing? Like, you lost to the Nazis. So, and I'm talking about NATO too, not just the European Union. You lost to the Nazis. France gave up. England was bombed to heaven. Okay, and the rest of the countries all kind of just fell in line or got really messed up. Like, they got no military defense. They got nothing over there. And what? We're supposed to supply all of their defense and everything? I'm glad for Poland beefing up their military and stuff, because apparently Poland is really, really concerned about not being a country. I didn't realize there was a period where they weren't a country for like 100 years. That's kind of crazy. So no wonder they're so ardent in their nationalism. That's how we need to be as a nation as well. So it's kind of crazy. And that there's a realignment there too with Hungary and Belarus and other nations over there where they're trying to really shore up something that isn't part of the European Union, because the European Union, when you go into that, you really give up your sovereignty as a nation. And that's the push for globalism that is going on everywhere. So we really need to be paying attention to that. We can't defend the EU, and I don't want to, honestly. It's kind of the reason why we waited so long to get into the World War II to begin with. Because why am I defending Europe? Why are we defending Europe? Against who? Who are we defending Europe against? Russia? Russia can't bust a grape. No offense to Russia, but they can't bust a grape. They can barely keep the territory that they have. I'm not concerned about Russia. I'm really not. China is the only real concern that there is. Okay? Like, Russia can't invade the rest of Europe because they just don't have the people. It's simple. They could never hold it. And nobody in Europe is just going to roll over and say, oh yeah, Russia, now you can control this party. That's just not happening. It's not realistic. So, I mean, so who are we defending Europe from? Can't be China, because China's all integrated all up and through all of Europe. So if we're not defending them from our biggest enemy, who are we defending them from? Russia, who can't bust a grape? Because clearly not the Chinese. So make it make sense to me. And I don't care about NATO. I really don't. People are, oh, they're our allies. They're our allies without NATO. We already have treaties and collaborative initiatives without that. England just authorized the largest embassy in Europe for China right above these highly important sensitive data lines that the US and other countries are concerned that China is going to be able to use to jack into. That's a problem. So that should show you what's going on in the UK, how they're selling their country out and the rest of us to China. We got to get people to wake up. We got to get people to wake up. It's a serious issue. And I'm telling you right now, from my mouth to your ears, China is one of the biggest funders and pushers and backers of what is going on in the country, in the United States right now, with all of this destabilization, Marxist thought, and all of these nonsensical pushes. And people don't see it. And people don't see it at all. They're the largest funder behind all of this. Okay? They're the ones pumping a lot of money into these NGOs and stuff like that. China basically runs California. California is basically a tributary state, you know? Like, can we have that conversation? We really do. Need to. We got to disconnect from, what do they call it? Decouple. We got to decouple from China. And that's why I'm so happy that they're working on bringing manufacturing and tooling and all this other stuff back, and production back, and this, that, and the third back. You know, steel production is up. This production is up. Steel production apparently is up like 300%. That's crazy. That's awesome. But it's really a lot. Like, that's wow. That's impressive. So I hope we continue to grow with building materials and stuff like that, and building that type of stuff. But we've got other issues in the economy. We've got an aging population. We've got a younger population that doesn't have the skills. Okay. And now all of a sudden we got AI is going to take over, and people are like, oh, well, that's why you should get into trade. Okay. I'm young enough to remember that they told us all that we need to get coding and programming experience and stuff like that. And now there's nothing is coding and nothing is programming. So anybody that has jobs in those fields are really kind of behind out in the wind, flapping in the wind right now. A lot of those jobs are gone. Look at Google downsizing in those departments. We got all of these other, Amazon and everybody else, downsizing in that stuff. A lot of people are real raw and messed up because of that, because they didn't see the march of technology coming in, and people got pushed into those fields, and now they're jacked up. And the same thing is happening with these trades. I'm going to tell you this right now. What they're talking about the trades, yes, we 100% need people in trades. But just because we need people in trades does not mean that that's going to be the saving bastion. I'm telling you right now, from my lips to your ears, okay? We've got all of these different machines and robots and stuff like that that are humanoid right now. Understand that if they are humanoid robots, that means that they can do anything that a human is able to do. Okay, wake up, people. If we've got these humanoid robots and they're getting real cheap, like a lot of these robots are like $30,000 less than it would cost to pay salary to an individual for a year. Like, they can do any human job. And I was listening to the World Economic Forum, and they're like, listen, anything that has to do with physical words or anything with spoken word or written word or whatever, that job's AI. It's over. I was just talking to a friend the other day. He was like, yeah, back in 2020, a robot operated on me. And now they're pushing in the federal government that we have remote surgeries in the federal government. This is part of their rural medical expansion program, which is really honestly kind of awesome. But also, we have to look at where the jobs are going to go. So not that they had a lot of people doing that to begin with, but that's the whole point. If they can do it out there, they can do it here. And as people can do it remotely, that means that a machine can do it too. So we need to wake up to that, because we are marching forward to something that is going to be very, very different than anything that we've ever saw. So when people are like, oh, well, these illegal aliens, everybody's got to go as far as I'm concerned. The illegal aliens, anybody that doesn't support America, you got to go. You got to be denaturalized or whatever the case is. And here's why. Because very shortly we're coming up on a collapse of Social Security. We're coming up on a collapse of Medicare. We're not going to have enough money. Okay. And Trump is trying to do everything that he can to shore up these things. But I don't know that it's going to be enough. I don't know that it's going to be enough. And I'm praying, I'm hoping, but I don't think that it's going to be enough. So a lot of stuff is going to change really quickly in the next couple of years, and people aren't even ready. I say we got maybe what year are we right now? 26. How far are we in? We got maybe 500 days, 600 days, less than 2 years. We got really less than 2 years. Before the end of this term of this president, we're really going to see a complete change in our economic system, not specifically driven by him, but driven by AI, automation, and it's not going to be the way that we want it unless magically something positive happens. I don't foresee it necessarily happening, but I pray for it, We got to wake up. We got to see what's going on. We got to pay attention. And more than that, we have to stand up. These people out here running amok for these illegal aliens, we got to get rid of all of them. All of them. Because all they're going to do is they're going to be the same people that we're fighting against for a continued depreciating number of jobs, for a continued lessened amount of resources. They got to go now. I don't understand why people don't see that. We got to get rid of all of them because we're going to be fighting against them for minuscule resources. And I covered this in a different show that I did the other day where I was like, they're sandwiching us out as Americans, as those who are in poverty or the working class. They're sandwiching us out of the economy completely. They brought in all these illegal aliens to undercut us on the low end, and they brought in all of these other foreigners in H1 visas, H1B visas, O1V, is it B? It might be B. O1B visas, and there's a dozen other visas, and this is why I'm against bringing people into this country, especially right now. We can't help our own people in another 4 to 5 years. 2030, it's a wrap. Mark my words, okay? 2030, it's a wrap for us if we don't change directly and drastically. So we've only got so much that we can do, so much that we can control. And I know to a lot of people it seems overwhelming, but I don't want you to lose heart. I want you to have heart, okay? That we can make a difference, that we can make a change, and we can stave off the worst of it. And in order to do that, we have to get involved locally. And what I want to see desperately so is I want to see more Christians and more conservatives getting active. Stop sitting on the sidelines like somebody's going to save the world. Nobody's coming to save us but ourselves. We have to get involved. We have to go to the school board meetings. We have to go to the city council meetings. We have to work on campaigns. We have to involve ourselves locally, politically, because that's where we can make a difference. Some people are like, oh, well, Trump's going to save everything. He can't. That's not how the government works. Even if you had that much faith in him, he can't do it alone. We got to do it on the local level. Then you got all these crazy crackpots getting into all of these different positions in offices, just throwing away money, and billions of dollars are being committed to fraud. And then we can't even talk about it. Like New York State wouldn't give up the records for their child care facilities that they're obligated to actually keep to the federal government, which is giving them money for those child care facilities, which is why they're obligated to keep the records. And if you live in New York State, you know that they keep copious records on every single business. And even if you want to go to the bathroom on a Tuesday and take a poo, they want you to mark that down too. So for them to tell the federal government that they're not giving it to them, that's kind of crazy. And you have to ask yourself why. All of the monies that are going to all of these schools and what's going on again in New York State, like where's all this money going? Why do we never see it? Like, we need to ask those questions. We got all of these different programs, anti-poverty initiatives and other stuff like that, and nothing ever happens. But that's why we got to stand up, and we got to stand up now. Please hit like, hit the share button, drop a comment below, share it on your page, your friend's page, and wherever. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Be blessed and be well. Stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. I'll catch you guys later.